Set in the future when the Earth was no longer healthy and was on the verge of destruction, high pollution and excessive air pollution were the reasons for the destruction of the Earth's atmosphere. Due to changes in the composition of the atmosphere, the air breathed by living creatures turned poisonous, the impact of which was seen from the plants starting to turn black. Because of this condition, there were only a few places on Earth that had clean air that was suitable for breathing. Scientists predicted that many of these places would survive only for a while until they became polluted. As time went by, the Earth would become uninhabitable and all living creatures would become extinct. However, humans didn't want to give up and continued to survive. One way was to build a power plant and send it into outer space to extract biothermal energy from other planets. Unfortunately, this effort did not produce the appropriate results. Failure after failure continued to occur, resulting in humans deciding to execute their last option, namely carrying out the Exodus mission, a mission to save the remaining humans by leaving this Earth. 100 space shuttles containing millions of human beings were flown from planet Earth. The first destination was the space station in the orbit of Jupiter's moon called Io. All of this was done with the hope that humans on Earth could start a new life, even though they had to leave planet Earth with all their old lives. This space station had become a new transport and home for humanity. To provide sufficient power to the station, humans mined Io as a source of energy. Behind it all, it turned out that not all humans had decided to leave Earth. There were still some people who decided to stay on Earth, and one of them was a female scientist named Sam Walden. Different from the others, she still had hope that the Earth would recover someday. The thoughts were not without basis. Even though the Earth was filled with poisonous air at that moment, there were still several organisms that were able to survive, one of which was a mosquito larva which was found in one of the abandoned buildings. She then checked the level of poison contained in the air at the location where the larva was found. If the fire she lit was a different color than usual, then the level of poison present in the air was quite high. The flames looked unusual, so she came out of the building. When she got outside, an alarm that told her the amount of clean air he had rang, which was also a reminder for her to immediately fill up the oxygen in her air tank. Didn't want to die, so she immediately rushed back to her house. Her house was located in the highlands surrounded by mountains. This condition allowed the air around the area to be clean and not as polluted as the lowlands. In that place, she did a lot of research. At her house, Sam immediately activated the communication device and sent a message to her boyfriend, Alan, who was at Io. In her message, Sam provided new information regarding the discovery of a collection of insects that could survive in toxic air. According to her, if insects like bees could survive in toxic conditions, that proved the theory stated by her father that the Earth was not currently on the verge of destruction but was being reborn. Sam really understood the condition of Elan and the other people who were struggling to survive in Io, but even so, she still didn't want to give up and hoped that her boyfriend would immediately reply to the message she sent. Not wanting to waste time, Sam continued her research by carrying out further experiments where she put a bee in an aquarium containing polluted air. Unfortunately, the experiment failed because the bee was only able to survive a few minutes until it finally died. The next morning, Sam received a reply from Elan. In this message, Elan expressed his happiness and pride in Sam for her discovery. But he also persuaded her to leave the Earth and join him. After reading the message, instead of being interested in coming to Io, Sam increasingly had high hopes for planet Earth. She then listened again to the recording made by her father, Dr. Harry Walden. In the recording, her father stated that no matter how bad the current condition of the Earth was, death was still part of the process, because that way, humans would be able to adapt to make them stronger both mentally and physically in facing disasters. Based on Sam's research, plants and nature on Earth did not just sit still and had evolved to survive the poisonous air. Therefore, it was predicted that within 20 years, the plants on Earth would be able to reduce air pollution a lot. Apart from that, there was a reason why her father researched bees. Bees were pollinators, meaning that if bees were able to survive in toxic air, they would be able to help pollinate plants more quickly and help the development of plants to reduce air pollution on the surface of the Earth. This was Sam's reason for surviving on Earth to continue her father's research. A few moments later, Sam received another message from Elan. In this message, Elan told her that the Council would carry out their first New World expedition to another planet to find a new world that could be inhabited by humanity. The target of this first expedition was the Proxima Centauri star system. The reason the Council was targeting this star system was because they had found an exoplanet that had similarities to the planet Earth, given the name Proxima b. Unfortunately, because of the very long distance, The journey was expected to take up to 10 years. Before she could finish reading all the messages, her monitor suddenly went dead. She was forced to go to the urban area to look for a replacement monitor. In the afternoon, Sam went with her ATV to go to one of the buildings to look for a replacement monitor. In the middle of the search, the weather suddenly changed for the worse, and not long after that, a big storm came. Sam had to return to her house immediately. The massive storm containing poisonous air attacked her house, forcing Sam to continue wearing her oxygen mask until the air around her residence returned to normal. Armed with the laptop he found earlier, Sam read the message sent by Elon previously. In the message, Elon asked her to immediately leave the Earth because the last space shuttle to leave the Earth would be leaving in 4 days. The next day, Sam, who had just woken up, was annoyed because it turned out that all her bee storage boxes had been scattered due to the storm. Unfortunately, all the bees she had collected and cared for with great effort had died. With mixed feelings, she then told Elon about her condition. She even gave up and thought about leaving Earth, but unfortunately, she realized that the amount of oxygen she had to go to the location of the last space shuttle was not enough. She finally chose to go outside to calm herself down. When she tried to calm herself down, from a distance he saw a hot air balloon approaching. Unexpectedly, it turned out that the hot air balloon was driven by a man named Micah. He came to Sam's place after receiving the radio transmission that had previously been sent by Dr. Harry Walden. Hearing this, Sam told Micah that her father had been away for 2 days in the mountainous area to collect new specimens. However, he had not returned. Interestingly, Micah's arrival was not to continue her father's research, but instead to take her father with him to the last space shuttle and head to the space station with other humans. At that moment, Sam, who was happy with Micah's arrival, offered him food, including fruit from her garden. This made Micah amazed. After all, fresh fruit has become something scarce, even impossible to find on Earth. Micah was more amazed by the honey that Sam harvested from the bees he had cared for. Sam, who had always dreamed of going to the beach, asked Micah about the existence of living sea animals. Micah answered that there were no more animals out there. He even admitted that the last time he saw an animal was when he was still a child. Sam then revealed the research she carried out with her father, where they found that honeybees had a very high survival ability and level of adaptation. Apart from that, Sam also talked about her communicating with Elon using the communication device she made. Their conversation ended with Sam inviting Micah to rest at her house that night. The next morning, Sam asked Micah to help her repair the solar cell which had been damaged from the previous storm. After making repairs, Sam, who tried to get to know Micah, asked about his family. Micah said that he didn't have a family at all. Sam then asked for his opinion regarding her long-distance relationship with Elon, who was separated by millions of kilometers from her. Micah said that loving someone and wanting to meet them was very natural because humans were destined to have desires and hopes, even though in the end, everything ended in God's decision and humans themselves being unable to predict it. After chatting for a while, Sam took Micah for a walk around her house. One of their destinations was the greenhouse where she planted a lot of plants in it. Sam explained that every plant she planted had mutually beneficial properties to each other, and this planting system was what made the plants in her greenhouse grow very well. Sam also expressed her father's opinion regarding Io, that Jupiter's satellite should only be the last choice for humanity. Her father thought that even though humans were the ones behind the destruction of the Earth, this didn't mean humans couldn't make the Earth fit for habitation again. Humans must be patient and make the right decisions to be able to change the Earth to the way it was before. The next morning, Micah found Sam's parents' old room where he finally found out that Sam's mother had died. Sam then remembered that her father had asked why she decided not to come with Elon to Io. Sam finally revealed her biggest secret to Micah, that her father had actually died a long time ago due to her father's body that could not survive changes in the environment. In the end, she buried her father right next to her mother's grave. Micah fell silent. He then told her about the original purpose of his arrival, which was to bring Dr. Harry to Io. But with the current conditions, he decided to offer Sam to come with him to the last space shuttle and go to Io. Even though Sam was hesitant at first, she finally accepted the offer to leave Earth. In the evening, Sam sent a message to Elon regarding her decision to follow Micah to Io, including her big hope of being able to meet him again. But who would have thought that the plan to go to the space shuttle was not as easy as they had previously imagined, because the very next day, the weather suddenly changed, not allowing the hot air balloon to fly to the location of the space shuttle. While waiting for the weather to get better, the two of them harvested some honey. Shockingly, Micah found the honey bee that was still alive and had just hatched. The honeybee turned out to be a queen bee. This gave another hope that life expectancy still existed even amid the Earth's very worrying conditions. In the afternoon, Sam got a reply from Elan, saying that he managed to get the opportunity to be one of the personnel of the New World expedition, and it was clear that he wouldn't refuse this offer. This made Sam sad because it meant that the two of them would most likely not be able to meet for quite a long time. After all, as was known, traveling to Proxima b would take a long time and may be very dangerous. Not only that, transmission between Earth and Io was certain to be disconnected when the expedition was carried out. In other words, Sam and Elan would definitely no longer be able to connect with each other. In her last message, Sam apologized to Elan if all this time she had lied about her father being still alive, and that she insisted on staying on Earth. In the evening, Micah, who was annoyed with the weather conditions that had yet to improve, and Sam, who was heartbroken, got closer. That situation led to an adventurous night for the two of them. The next day, Micah got bad news regarding the relocation of the space shuttle to a new location that was further away. This news clearly made Micah upset because, with such a long distance, the helium in his hot air balloon obviously would not be enough to bring them to that location. With his anger peaking, Micah hit one of the glass jars until it broke and injured his hand. Not only that, he also blamed Sam and her father, who she thought only had empty hopes to remain on Earth. Surprisingly, it turned out that Sam knew the location of helium for the hot air balloon fuel. When they arrived at the location, they rested while waiting for the weather to improve. The two of them then talked until they fell asleep. The next morning, they started filling the hot air balloon's helium. While waiting, Sam told Micah that she wanted to go somewhere first, but apparently she never came back, forcing Micah to look for her. The two of them finally met at a museum, where Micah saw Sam looking at a painting entitled Leda and the Swan. Micah knew the story behind the painting and explained it. The painting told of the romance of Leda, a princess with a swan, who was the incarnation of a Greek god Zeus. Leda gave birth to Helena, who became the princess of the kingdom of Troy. After explaining about the painting, Micah asked Sam to immediately replace her oxygen cylinder, which was starting to get thinner, but Sam suddenly changed her mind and decided to stay on Earth. She even asked Micah to leave Earth alone. Sam, who was already resigned to his life, took off her mask, but surprisingly she was able to breathe freely. Micah, who was unable to change her decision, finally could only say goodbye and go alone to the location where the last space shuttle was. When Sam returned home, she wrote a message to Micah. In the message, she quoted several words from her father, saying that humans must not stop exploring because there would be time for humans to reach a new place to start many new things. However, humans must also not forget the Earth as a home that couldn't be replaced. Long story short, years changed. What was predicted by Sam and her late father all this time actually happened. The Earth had miraculously recovered. Meanwhile, Sam was seen on the beach, accompanied by her son, who presumably was Micah's. Sam never gave up on Earth by continuing to send messages to human colonies in outer space. She always provided news about the development of the Earth and was looking forward to their arrival someday.